Podcast by Friday, episode 53. Is a website dead? I don't think it's dead, but I do think that, maybe it's going to move over for new technology. Podcast by Friday with Bill Griggs and Kingsley Grant. We help people to create their minimal viable podcast by taking bold action to defeat procrastination and to get their voices heard.
I'm Kingsley Grant.
And I'm Bill Griggs.
And you're listening to
Podcast by Friday. Hello, everyone. This is Podcast by Friday. How are you doing, Kingsley Grant?
Hey, Bill. I'm doing just fine here in sunny South Florida. So I'm doing great, man. How about yourself?
Oh, very, very, very fine in upstate New York at 21 degrees Fahrenheit. It's just another lovely day. I guess we're in March now. So
yeah, March 3rd.
Yeah, it's moving fast. For those of you who caught our last episode of Podcast by Friday, we were discussing how you could move your business further ahead and your podcast further ahead with a challenge. And Kingsley and I are both currently taking the One Funnel Away challenge, which is a course that's put out by the folks from ClickFunnels. And I took the first challenge last month, and Kingsley got so excited about it, he decided that he wanted to take it too.
Yeah, after listening to you, Bill, and just to see how excited you were, and it's like, I think one of the phrases you used over and over that I think captured my attention was in all the online platforms or things you've taken. Mm-hmm. This is one of the most one that stood out to you the most, and you felt like, man, this is like, where have this been, so to speak? And I think this is one of the things that people who when they first start your podcast, or when you do start your podcast, you're gonna have the feeling, why didn't I do this before? It's just the same idea here. Why didn't we get into ClickFunnels before?
Yeah, it's one of those amazing things to me. As far as that, I'm checking my levels for the folks at home to see if you can hear me well. I'm going to move my mic a little bit too. And how's that?
No, it sounds good.
Sounds good.
Hopefully they're hearing it. Sounds good as well out there.
Yeah, you sound loud and clear there. One of the things about the ClickFunnels is ClickFunnels is a for those of you who don't know, is a platform that allows you to create a online sales funnel and marketing funnel. So unlike a website, which has a big menu up at the top and has lots of different choices for you to go through, a sales funnel is used for a specific purpose, and that specific purpose is either to make a sale or to gather a contact information. Those are the two main things that a funnel does that are. Go ahead, cough.
No, I'm good. Yeah, yeah.
that are. This is live, so I mean,
Yeah, I think what I can just do is put myself on mute, and there you go.
Perfect. Yeah. So that's the main difference between a ClickFunnels sales funnel and a regular web site. And some people say websites are dead because you send traffic to them and then they have to find their way through a maze of things to get down to what it is that you want.
I don't mean to interrupt you. What's your thoughts about that? Because I heard that and I had some mixed feelings. I'm not sure when you heard that, and it's because someone may have heard you just say that and wonder, okay, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm slowly coming around to that way of thinking because. I've known about ClickFunnels for about a little over a year and a half or so, and I've been reading about it and listening to podcasts about it and that sort of thing. And I do know in my business that when people get to my website, they have to make choices about what it is that they want to see. Are they there looking at software? Are they there looking for the physical products? Are they there looking for my blog post? And they have to make that decision. Well, if I can come to a solution where I can make them take a decision before they even get to my website about, why it is that they're going to look for it, then is advantageous to both of us because it doesn't waste our time. So yeah, is a website dead? I don't think it's dead, but I do think that, maybe it's going to move over for new technology. I don't know.
I thought about that too, and I heard it, and I was thinking, well, I read someone mention before that why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we podcasting? Why are we writing a book? Why are we doing, and I'm thinking that really it's the reason why I'm doing this is not for my health. I mean, as far as just wanting to engage with people, yes, I do. My friends, I can reach them through other means. Mm-hmm. The main reason why I do social media, and this is just, being fully honest, is because I want to find it as a platform, a way to make, to have a business, to make money, right? That's the reason, because a lot of people who I'm in contact with, really, I don't think they really know who I am or care who I am. They want to know what value can I bring to them? How can I make their lives better? And I'm simply saying, hey, that's a wonderful question. What if we create this transaction where I help you bring value to your life, make it better, and you give me what you have in your hand, some money? So I kind of lean towards the idea of that as well, and that's what's pretty transparent.
Yeah. And, it's true. I mean, let's face it, podcasting, blogging, YouTube content creation, any of those things that you're doing online cost you money to do. I mean, you've got your web hosting cost, you've got your podcast hosting cost. For YouTube, you've got all the, the equipment and everything that you have to do. And, maybe you have to monetize that with ads or whatever. But in each case, it's costing you, the creator, money, and there's no guarantee or no even certainty that you're going to ever return anything on your investment. And so, having a sales funnel for a product or a course or something that you are planning to use and launch long term, that's a no-brainer to me.
Yeah, and that's why I think when you started talking about when I asked and interrupted, sorry to have done that, but I just wanted to get that out there because someone might hear you say that as you were talking about about ClickFunnels and why you were so excited about ClickFunnels. And, I just wanted to insert that in there because I think it's very pertinent to you as a podcaster or potential podcaster. What's the end game? Because podcasting is not a business. A website is not a business, really. And I'm getting to learn that more and more. Those things are just a means to an end. And I got to find a way how to use them. Like you just said, it's costing us and costing you money to put those out. Why shouldn't you see it as an investment for a return somehow at a later point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we've always stressed right from the beginning when we started Podcast by Friday that folks were building a minimum viable podcast so that they could get the podcast out there quickly. And we almost immediately began talking about, okay, how do you monetize it? How do you pay for it? And, this was one of the ways. We gave away content, for 50 plus episodes to our listeners because that's the nature of things.
It's a Gary Vee idea, right? Is jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah. You give. And then when you do finally come to the point and ask someone, for the sale, you've provided so much valuable content for them that it really is a non-issue. And in a lot of cases, they're wondering, why didn't you have something for me before this? I would have gladly done it. You guys are doing a great job, or you guys are doing a lousy job. Then I
think it's Seth Godin's idea, Bill, of permission marketing, right? You gave them permission. You've gotten permission now. Hey, I've given you all this value. I think it's just I have permission. It's almost like you said, now do I have permission to offer you something of even more value that will, help you? And to me, it's a fair exchange at that moment. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. Just a couple of quick things here. For those who don't know or who didn't get a chance to catch our last episode, we did talk about this challenge in particular and, that we were doing it, and we would have liked some of our listeners to join us with that, and some of them did. We formed up a nice little closed Facebook group, and we've had listeners from the podcast and potential future students of the course which we're developing as part of this challenge who have joined us. And so far we went from what did we start with, 5 or 6 members, and then we're at 13 currently.
Yeah.
In that, so in just 1 week's time to more than double the size of the group, almost triple.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So that's a cool thing. Here, in case anyone is wondering how I heard about all of this stuff, it started by reading this book from Russell Brunson called Expert Secrets, and this book really kind of changed my perception on what we were doing. And I'll put a link down in the notes of this episode in case you would like to grab yourself a copy of that and check it out. But Expert Secrets and its companion book, .com Secrets, are just awesome. They teach you a lot about online marketing. But what is cool about the course we're taking, the One Funnel Away challenge, is the whole premise of the thing. It just rocks my mind. ClickFunnels, the company, got together and about 4 years ago and got started. And since then, they've done 505 people who have created sales funnels, which have generated over $1 million individually in each one of those sales funnels. 505 people. There are 22, as of the last count, people who have generated sales funnels that raised over $10 million in a single funnel. And the really interesting part is there are some people in that group of 500 plus people who are responsible for multiples of those. One of the ladies that we're both familiar with now after end of week 1 is Kaylin Pullen. And she did 5 $1 million funnels and then 1 $10 million plus funnel. And I think that number has changed. I'm pretty sure she just added a couple more to it. Now, your mileage may vary. This is not the typical. This is not that we're seeing. But I have a saying that I like to use. When I see somebody who's done something, I realize that if one person can do it, so if one can, 2 can, and if 2 can, you can. That's my thought about it. So
I like that. Yeah.
When I see somebody doing that, I said, okay, how'd they do it? Let me find out. Well, that's what the whole premise of this funnel was. This funnel course was. So they started with 30 millionaires of these ClickFunnels millionaires, and they asked them. Actually, they asked 100 of them, but they only picked the top 30 from their answers. If you lost everything today and you had no money, no nothing, the only thing you had was a ClickFunnels account and internet access, and what would you do to rebuild? And so they wrote all of that up and they put it into a book, and then they interviewed each of those 30 people, got their information together. Then they took that information and made it into this book, and also interviewed them again and had them show you their actual sales funnels, the behind the scenes thing, how they laid it out, what they do, what the thought process was behind it. And they gave you all of that. And so then in this 30 days, they teach you how to, all the thought processes, all the mechanical skills you need, if you will, everything that you need to build your own funnel from thought to finished product in 30 days.
And you might be wondering why we're taking some time to talk about this, because at some point we are going to offer you a challenge as well for podcasts. We already have that saying by Friday, right? It's podcast by Friday. So that's a challenge by itself. Mm-hmm. But we want to even go a bit further to have you in a practical way, like almost like hold your hand like they're doing here with us, to get to something that we will talk about much later. But the point is that what I find having joined this ClickFunnels 30-day challenge is this first week has been just about mindset. It's really preparing us for really the launch starts as of this recording tomorrow, which is March 3rd, 4th?
Tomorrow is the 4th, yeah.
Yeah, so start March 4th. So if you're watching this after, it wanted to let you know. But they took a whole week just to prepare us for the launch. And I'm telling you, I'm very impressed because I listened to the videos they present every single day, did the worksheet, because one of the success of that lady boss that Bill mentioned, what I was very impressed with, what she said, she and her husband, they would listen to what Russell would say, stop the video, and do what he says to do at the end of that segment. They would not go on to the next thing until they did that. And I just was writing down because they give you a worksheet and said, what's your takeaway from what it is you watched? And how does this relate to you? And I write down, for example, I have one of my unfortunately, I would say my shortcomings is I wanted to get to the end of the video, the end of the course, the end of the book. And then I would say to myself, okay, once I get through, I'll go back and start and pick up where I need to pick up. And here's what happened. And this may be for you, I don't know, but this is how it happened for me, that I tend to not either just get so overwhelmed and not get started, or I forget what it is I was asked to do and had to go back and start to drudge my way through again. And 9 times out of 10, it fell by the wayside. And so I like this idea of really bringing us through the mindset, getting us ready. And I want to make this commitment, and I'm going on live here telling you this, that this time through, I want to do like what she did, is stop where I need to stop, do what what Russell and the team is saying to do, and just see what's different. Because if I keep on doing the same thing that I've always done, as you know, the result is going to be I'm gonna get what I've always gotten, and I can't. This is at the time and place for it. I'm getting older, and I just don't have the time and the energy to do what I've always done and get the same results.
Yeah. It's funny you would mention that, because that's exactly it. I mean, neither of us is strangers to online marketing. We've both had minor successes with it. I've had websites that generate money that's just below the 6-figure range. I've had 2 or 3 of those. Okay. I've done, I've been getting email, and old snail mail marketing, from catalogs and stuff back in the old days and everything. And you get 2 results and you get to certain levels, but breaking through to the next level where you have a reliable source of income that, can sustain you and is dependable, based on your effort. That's the Holy Grail. But I think that this is a missing part of the puzzle, because what they're teaching us in this course is basically a script, a system, and a way of doing things that they've proven over and over and over and over and over again, over 500 times, that, somebody has been able to build, a 2-comma business, $1 million business over 500 some odd times. The revenues, ClickFunnels has generated revenues of $1.8 billion from the people who are making these businesses. That's what's gone through their individual businesses, not what's gone through the, ClickFunnels itself, but through the businesses that they've created in the last 4 years. That's kind of amazing to me.
And what I like about this approach, which I think is, as you're listening in, you might want to maybe take note of this, is what I like is the fact that one thing that Russell teaches, and we see it over and over, is trying to hack, meaning do what somebody else is doing and is successful at. Find how they did it and not to copy, not to copy them and to steal their stuff. No, but is to find what could you do similar. And so I like the fact that they're really honing in on that and teaching us. And even as you as a podcaster and a potential podcaster, you may want to find who is it that you want to emulate, and look at what they're doing, and kind of reverse engineer and see step by step what are they doing, how are they getting the results they're getting, and see what could you also do to do something very similar. So that's really what's standing out to me this time, is just finding a way to model what's working. And it's almost like creating something that is very similar. It looks that way, it feels that way, but it's just not their stuff. It's your stuff, but make it look like what they may have spent a lot of time and effort in to make it successful. It's a quick way for you to get there without having to spend the time and effort that they have spent and did the hard work for you to now do something likewise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's amazing to me to watch when they actually go through what they call the funnel hacking process, where they're looking at a successful model of somebody's business and creating a similar business, one that's already been proven. Things that I'm not sure if you've gotten to yet in the course, Kingsley, because I'm going off memory, but I don't believe you've learned this yet, and this is something for you to look forward to. But by the time this course ends, you'll be able to go to Facebook, find a
ad
that's advertising there. You're gonna be able to use tools like BuzzSumo and SimilarWeb and lots of other tools that are out there. Google Advanced Search, to actually go in and look and see, how many people are looking at this? How many people are using this product? How many people, what are the traffic sources coming from, and where are they going once they're out there? How long they're staying on the website? All sorts of information that is helpful when you're trying to create a business. Tony Robbins, arguably one of the biggest motivational coaches out there, specializes in teaching people how to model success. He from Olympic, I believe it was the biathlon team that he coached, and on and on and on. Just so many different people that he would come in and he'd study the best person at whatever it was that they were doing, and figure out the systems in the model and model them so that you could recreate that success again. And that's all this is.
Yeah, and that's where I think, going back to Lady Boss, I forgot her name, Pauline.
Poland. Yeah.
Kaylin Pauline, right? And to see how, what she did and her success. But the fact is that she did the very same thing. And to see how in a very short time, right, but in 3 years, she made an 8-figure, amount of a business that she did, because she did the very same thing that Russell kind of taught. Mm-hmm. And so I think the idea, going back to as a podcast, is that you can find, and Bill just described some tools. I was at a event on Friday, and one thing that I came across where someone mentioned that, try to answer questions that people are asking within this space you're in. So look for those questions that are out there, and there are ways to find questions people are always asking. And she mentioned that, Caitlin Poland, in Lady Boss, she mentioned that. She said she find the questions at BuzzSumo as an example. People are asking these questions, and all she did is answer them. So all her videos was answering those questions, and that what made it a difference for her, And so it's just really what you do in your podcast and maybe in your space is answer questions for people, what they're asking, because you're finding those questions already on the web, and people become they tune in because you're doing something that they're asking for, right?
Yep, and it's interesting. Now, you you mentioned doing something that people are already asking for, and that's what the whole thing is. I have one audience that is all CNC woodworkers, folks who make model airplanes and signs and things like that. That's one of the main audiences. Together, we have an audience of people who want bloggers who want to be podcasters. Okay, and each of those is a different group. They have different needs. But they all need a website, or they all need a funnel, some way to offer up whatever it is that they create, and to have somebody exchange money for the value that they're going to receive. But the whole aspect of it is with these different audiences, you're always running into people asking the question, well, can this fit my business? And you really can't get two more different markets than CNC machinists and podcasters. I mean, they're just different. The fact that I'm both is kind of an anomaly, but so be it. That's me. Shotgun, not arrow. But we'll explain that some other time, or go back to listen to the other episodes, and you'll know what I'm talking about. So let's break this down. There are little techniques that they're teaching us in this course that really blow my mind. Things that you don't think about.
This is the section of our show where we would normally pause for a word from our sponsor. Now, if you would like to be the sponsor of the Podcast by Friday show, and you have a product or service that you feel would be of benefit to new entrepreneurs starting their new podcast, then contact us at podcast@podcastbyfriday.com, and we'll see if you'd be a good fit.
Let's break this down. There are little techniques that they're teaching us in this course that really blow my mind. Things that you don't think about. Like, for instance, when they started their webinar that they were delivering, one of the first things they said in the first couple of minutes was, the purpose of this webinar is for me to get you to spend $3,000. That's what they said there. Okay. And I think the number was 11,000 or something crazy like that. Anyway, but that was the first thing that they said. And so you get hit in the face with a big shocking number, which is not going to be the real number that they're talking about. Okay. So it sets a level of expectation. Some folks would bail right then. And that's okay, because those folks weren't the ones who were your target audience. But by the time you got to the close of this thing, and they announced what the actual price was, after they explained all the value of the things that made up this offer, you've got a year's worth of ClickFunnels, you've got personal coaching with 2 or 3 millionaires. I don't know what the number is, but you've got another program that does something else that solves another need, another one that solves another need. And you start stacking these things up, and you add them all up, and you add them all up. And it's like $11,000 value. And when they ask you for $1,000, it's nothing.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what's weird about this course, what they're asking you to spend is $100. And then they're delivering literally thousands of dollars. I have no way of computing how much this training could be worth to you, but they're trying to get you to spend $100. And I got to tell you, this is the best $100 I ever spent. And $100 is actually the actual number. There's no stack that I'm telling you about. But when I heard that I would get 4 weeks of live calls with the most prolific funnel maker ever, he was the one who was making the funnels for Russell as his right-hand man, live calls with him. Videos from Russell Brunson every day, and from Julie Stoyan, his systems person. So we've got the sensei, we've got the person who set up the systems to receive everything, and then we got the guy who was the actual builder. All three of them for a month. That blew me away. So tell us about your first week, Kingsley.
Well, I think. By the way, if you're watching this and you want to type something in a comment, or I'm not sure how that will work, but we'll maybe see your comments and we'll be able to be able to respond. And hopefully, if you want to ask a question, you can go ahead and do that. But the first week has been very interesting because I have had a chance to have my mind set, really reset for what's coming up and thinking what's possible. And I think that it's coming away in this pre-launch stage, being reminded that you're in business. You really don't have a business if all you're doing is just using, say, a platform like a podcast and thinking that is your business. Because at the end of the day, can you, is it bringing you back money? And it may be. It will possibly become a means to an end. But I think for me, this week has been the preparation just to be around people who are doing it, hearing their stories, knowing what's possible, and to know that if they can do it, like you just said earlier, Bill, if one can do it, two can. If two can, I can, which I really like that. Mm-hmm. And so it has moved me into the place where I'm thinking, I've spent money, hundreds, thousands of dollars on other things. And I have not seen, I've seen some results. So I cannot say that it has not been helpful. So to say that would be disingenuous, right? But I think that what I've seen so far in the first pre-launch stage of this $100, I have gotten more than $100 worth already, just in the pre-launch stage. And the mindset is that about even yet in the launch stage, I've already gotten, I feel, a lot more than $100 worth of value. I mean, there's no, not I feel, I know that. So if I even stop right now, I could really feel as if, you know what, my whole look on business and what I do has been challenged, where I need to do something different. So it would force me or challenge me to do something different if I stop now. But you know what? I'm not. I'm ready now to dive deep and get from them. And I'm waiting for they're waiting for my box that they're sending me with all the additional things that they're saying, hey, you know what? Here's some more value. I'm thinking even that is more than $100 right there. So I'm excited about it and looking forward to getting into it again and with you and others who have joined in the challenge as well.
Yeah. It's funny. You exactly mirror what I was saying all last month as I was taking this. Every time, we talked a couple times a week, and the frequency of how often we talked during the last month while I was taking the challenge went up, because I kept saying over and over, and man, this is the best $100 I've ever spent. This, I'm learning so much and everything. And, it was ridiculous how many different things that I learned from this. They teach us basically 5 if you count them, but 4 serious lessons in the first week. The first one was to believe that in yourself, and to do that, you had to identify what your fears were. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. And for all of us, we all have fears, ones we express and ones that we don't. It's the ones that we don't express out loud that usually hold the most power over us. And they did this exercise where we wrote down what those fears were. And then immediately after, we came up with a solution on how we were going to attack that fear and get it out of the way. And, one of my fears was, like I said earlier, I've built several web businesses and I can get them up to a certain point. And I notice what happens with me once I get some money coming in on a regular basis and I can start getting the things that I want, or pay for different things, is that I start to coast, which is terrible.
Take your foot off the gas pedal.
Yeah. You take your foot off the gas pedal and you spend all this energy getting things in motion, and then you stop pushing. It's, it's really crazy, but I've done it 3 times, and that's the difference that I want to take on this challenge and moving forward, building this version of my business, is that I'm going to keep pushing. I mean, I'm going to begin producing content every day, which I've been doing. I've got a calendar up on the wall with little X marks each day. And, I forget which famous,
Seinfeld. Or Seinfeld.
Yeah, Seinfeld said, just don't miss a day. Put the check down. Look, make sure you got a chain every day. He wrote a new joke every day. That's what he did. New thing. Well, yeah. So, that's what I'm trying to model. He was successful doing that. I'm going to be successful doing this. So.
And I think that, what I also look in how we as podcasters and you as a person that will one day have your podcast up and running, have a community, and want to build a brand, want to make sure that is find various ways of keeping your people engaged. They have done that. But what I also like is what I know that you have received so far. I have not yet, but it's, don't forget, people still love things in the mail because that becoming so almost antiquated, right? Oh, the mail, what's that? Well, it's just so counterintuitive to start doing some things that others are not doing. And so there you go. That by itself, sending that, I was like, hey, your box is coming. That also created excitement. And you're going to have something physical in your hand like you have, Bill, to show that, you know what, man, $100, even that alone is worth $100.
Oh, yeah. Feel it. Oh, yeah. Got the book.
See?
Got the DVD or the MP3 player and a workbook and all sorts of goodies in that box.
I'm waiting for my box to come so I can do the unboxing too. So and show what that's like. And you'll hear more about that, I'm sure. And I think the point of even mentioning that is simply saying, again, modeling what others are doing who are successful. And if there's one thing we want to make certain that you even hear from us is the idea of, what's that for? What's that, Bill?
Oh, that was the MP3 player with all the audio files and everything that they're teaching us on here as well.
And again, we may not do it at that stage yet and do that big, but don't rule out that one day you will be in a position to do something similar. And here is a way of modeling success. And I find that one of the things about the years of podcasting, I try to find people and constantly look at people who are doing what it is I want to do. I listen to how they interview. I listen to how they engage people. I listen to the topics. I'm listening to their podcast, but I'm looking out for those things, their headline, their hook, the story that they're sharing, the offer they're making. Just, I'll sign up for somebody's offer and just look at their emails that they send and say, well, could I do an email like that? And the next page I go to, can I emulate that and do a page like that? So, this is one of the things that you always want to be all in, eyes, ears, mind, whatever. Be all in learning more, because the more you can learn and implement right away, the better the better you'll become as a podcaster and as a business person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny. Many of the podcasters that we know and respect are using ClickFunnels to build the back end of their businesses. John Lee Dumas from Entrepreneur on Fire he's one of the 2 Comma Club recipients. He's made over $1 million through ClickFunnels, and he puts up his post every month showing you his income and the sources and everything. And there's quite a nice chunk of change coming to him from the business that he built through ClickFunnels. And there are just so many more besides John Lee Dumas that, are out there. They're everywhere. Andrew Warner from Mixergy, a show that I listen to and love. I mean, I could go on and on, but just suffice it to say that when I hear people who I consider to be already successful saying they're using a tool, I go and look at that tool. That's how I found out about this tool that we're using here, StreamYard, today, from listening to Frank Kern's podcast. So I figured, hey, let's go try StreamYard, see what that's all about. We've tried OBS Studio, we've tried BeLive Studio, we've tried all of these things. let's try them all, because somebody I know who's successful is using them and trying it. And I want to emulate someone who's successful.
Yeah, and so that's why even, let me just try something here. If I can go on and type a question to see if it would show up, I don't know how that will work or not. But if I was to go on here and see if we can find the live stream, this is just, I want to, again, this is experiment with certain things, right? And to see if that would bring me my question if I post it here. So I type in podcast by Friday. Okay, go to post. And let me see if I...
You mean a comment like this?
Yes, if I make a comment in podcast by Friday while we're watching, where that comment will show up, if it would, on the... Oh, here we go. So,
I did that.
Huh?
Yeah, I can see it.
Oh, yes. Oh, okay. So, hey, Bill, how did you first find out about ClickFunnels? ClickFunnel. Okay, so I'm posting that.
And I'm giving you my response. It says, hey, Bill, how did you first find out about ClickFunnels? And my response is...
Oh, yeah, here it is through... No, okay, I haven't seen that.
Read it.
Oh, from a podcast episode.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wow, okay.
I found out about it. Yep.
And, okay, I see Linda Smith. Hi, Linda. I see you're watching. Hope you're gaining some kind of insight for we're just experimenting and doing something a bit different. So hopefully you're recognizing that. So thank you for watching.
Sure. That's awesome. Hey, Linda. It's nice to see you. Now, this is what's cool about this. Okay, the first thing we learned was about, believing in ourselves and facing our fears. The next thing that we learned, and I'd like you to talk about what we learned on day 2 of the podcast was failure.
You mean on the ClickFunnel?
Yeah.
Okay,
One Funnel Away challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's the when I did my sheets and when Russell talks about how many failures, how many times he tried before he got ClickFunnels up, and just to hear his story after story, I'm thinking that when he said, he even had the point where he wondered if he was ever going to make it happen, and the money was going, south rather than going north. And just the fact that when I listen to his story and to see where he's at today, it encourages me to think that, okay, you may think that you may be one try away from your success. You may be one keystroke, one podcast, one video, one content, one ask, we never can tell. And I think I was very encouraged and inspired and impressed by the fact that he shared that, because, you're watching, you're thinking that, oh man, I've tried all these many things, but you just don't know. This might be your one video watching away from your success. And so that's what my takeaway was with Russell, is the idea that he failed so many times. And every person, every person, but most people that I've listened to who have struck some success today will tell you about their failures. And failures is a path to success, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. I like to say that the failure is your first step towards your next success. That's just the way that I've found it to be.
Yeah, and so I think when Russell Brunson, here's this guy today who is having a multi-million-dollar business. He's helped other people do the very same thing. And what if he had stopped? What if he had given up? And that's the question I ask myself sometimes. Kingsley, what if you stop now? And I think I've gone so deep. It's almost like, what Tony Robbins mentioned about burning the boats. I don't know if I've burnt the boats, but I think I'm so deep now that I can't go back. I just cannot find myself retracing and say, no, I feel that I got to continue, and I'm going to do it until that time comes. I can't stop now. too many people are depending on what I have to bring to the world. And too many people are dependent on what you, as you're watching and listening, have to bring to the world. And you can't let them down. And I said to myself, I can't let them down, because when I talk to one or two people and they resonate so much with my message of whatever kind I'm sharing, I'm thinking about the multiplicity of those people. How many more hundreds of those people out there who would benefit? And I just said to myself, Kingsley, you have a responsibility. In my book that I wrote, The Midlife Launch, one thing I mentioned about the fact that, we have a responsibility of the gifts we've been given, the talents, the skills, to reach somebody out there who is dependent. I mean, literally could die. And I'm not being, exaggerating here, but a person could hear a message of hope or an idea we might present through our podcast or through our book or our content that could be life-changing. So we should never discount that. So failure, for me, it's just, okay, it's a feedback. What could I do differently? And that's what Russell mentioned. The feedback was, this wasn't working, try something else. What if Einstein had given up in his failure journey?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't even want to think about the world without the advancements that Einstein brought about. One of the other aspects of this entire thing, as entrepreneurs, as podcasters, as woodworkers for that matter, there are things that we do in our business, and we try and wear a lot of hats. You can probably see a whole bunch of hats back there, but we wear a lot of hats in our business. We do the web pages, we do the design work, we do the writing, we do all of those things, and there are millions of tasks. If you start thinking as a CEO instead of as a worker, you realize that you're going to have to delegate some things, and you're going to have to pass some things off. And so one of the lessons they taught us was the who, not the how. Yeah. We need to find the right who to do the business. And they shared some resources with us that allowed us to go and get things done on places like the Funnel Rolodex or Fiverr or Freelancer, Upwork, you name it. And that was an extremely valuable lesson there for me. Anyway, I don't know. What would you take away?
It was, that was a profound, when Russell drew that out. And I think that it's such a lesson that I believe as you're listening and watching that you want to really pay attention to, when he talks about the fact that, do you have the who's in your life you can go to and delegate a part of what you're doing so that you don't spend all your time doing everything and not do the central thing you do best. Mm-hmm. That was profound, because I know for me, what have held me back and slowed me down for a long time, I felt I need to learn this and learn that, do this and do this, because if I didn't, it would not get done. So I understand in the early stage, you may do more than you have to. I get it. But sometimes what I would think, I just can't afford it. I don't have it. But I'm thinking right now, I need to have a Rolodex, that Rolodex of the many people who could help me, who could possibly, and there might be a family member out there or a friend or a young person who wants to help, is just looking for an opportunity to ask them, okay, can you do some graphics for me or some video? They would love to be a part of that and to get the kudos for having helped you out, because their name, like, oh, I helped Kingsley, I helped Bill, wow. And he talks about that. Who could you get to help you to do something? And if you can get them, it takes something off your plate. In my new book I'm writing, Bill, about the Intelligent Leader, I talk about that in the book that's coming out very soon. But I talk about the fact that, leaders, to become a leader who's successful, you've got to learn how to collaborate.
Yeah.
Get people to help you. And I mean, I'm so glad that we have this relationship, Bill, because I know you know people and know resources I don't. Mm-hmm. And I've been, tremendously blessed and helped just to have you as a friend, because I've learned so much. And you point me in the direction that I could have gone and gotten some help. And I believe that helps all of us if we know the who. Who can you go to? Who can you call upon? So if you take nothing away from this talk that Bill and I just had this conversation, I want to challenge you. Put a list together of people who have some skill sets you could actually benefit from. And reach out to them. Do the ask and see how they can help you be successful. And again, you're not using them. You're only giving them an opportunity to use a skill that they are so dying to exercise, because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So the idea of atrophy sets into muscles that are not used. You don't want them to have muscles that they're dying to use, and you could give them a chance to use that muscle, but because you never did, the atrophy sets in. So I was encouraging you, if you take nothing away from this, is who do you know in your life who could help you do the things you want to get done? I know I need to build my list up, and I know this was a challenge to me, and I'm gonna make sure I have that list on standby, because I'm gonna need to use that.
The last lesson that they taught over 2 days, and that was that you need to model success. And they showed that by Russell Brunson showing us the speech that he gave at Grant Cardone's 10X conference a year ago, where he made over $3 million in 90 minutes. What was unique about the training on this day 4 of the challenge and into day 5, was that before he showed us the presentation that he'd given, live videotape of that, he explained to us what he was doing and where. And if you notice in this book, Expert Secrets, that I held up earlier, on page 167, something like that, 150, this is his perfect webinar script. And this was the roadmap that he used in his speech. And so he did his speech, and he did generate all that income. But then he took it another step further, and he invited Kaylin Pullen on. And Kaylin had just taken exactly what he did, watched his tape, stopped it. Every time he said to do something, she went out and did it, came back, and she delivered almost an identical speech, except with her character, her words. But the slides were almost verbatim. And, we discussed earlier her success, 5 funnels that were over $1 million and 1 funnel that's over 10. Yeah. Just from what's in this book that they send you for free plus shipping. I mean, come on.
So I think we're coming up towards a break to our time slot. And I think you mentioned something earlier. I think that great way to kind of give those who are listening and those who maybe wondering, well, what do we need to do having listened to this episode? And you mentioned about the book and the link that you would have in the comment section that they can click on to actually get a copy of that book, right? I mean, was that what you're want them to do as a result of listening to this episode?
Well, what I did, Kingsley, when I decided that I wanted to go through this course again with you and to share what I had known, I went out and created a Facebook group, which is for the folks who are taking the challenge with us. And so I'm inviting you to come take the challenge with us, and you'll have access to both Kingsley and I during the course of the next challenge, which starts on March 25th. Okay, so they're doing this as kind of a monthly thing, but I'm going to put a link to you, which is podcastbyfriday.com/OFA challenge. And I'll put this inside of the comments. If you'd like to take the challenge with us next month, go to that link, watch the video, decide for yourself. And, I'm telling you up front, the whole purpose of offering this is for you to spend $100 on yourself. Okay.
Are you worth $100?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, This is an affiliate link. Okay. And an affiliate link is a link which, if you buy, we get a commission from it. And the One Funnel Away challenge has very generous commission, as a matter of fact. That's not the whole reason that we do this. It is, we are business people, so it is one of the things that we do consider. But I know people who have gone and taken this course, spent their $100 and made it back. I'm one of them. I made it back before I even started the course.
I did too.
Through affiliate marketing. And, I've 5x'd my initial investment just through ClickFunnels things since the first time I taken it. And
we'll show you how to do that when you get to the point of how we did it and how you can do it too.
Yeah. So, we are all about teaching you how to do exactly what we did. And, if it was successful for us, it can be successful for you. So if you'd like to take the challenge with us, and you can go to the link that we're going to put in the comments here, and we'll have a link beneath this video as well. But it's podcastbyfriday.com/OFA challenge. Okay. And that will take you to our link to this course. And one last thing I'd like to say to my CNC folks. We talk about opportunity costs, how much it costs you to be doing something that is not your major skill, your major talent. We were just talking about this a moment ago. The average hourly rate for a CNC machinist around the country starts at about $60 an hour and ends somewhere north of $175 an hour. Let's go with a low number. So it's about $1 a minute to do that. So if you're not machining and you're going out and building your website, or you're going out and creating, these other things that aren't your major talent, what would it cost you to do a 10-hour project? $600. That's $600 that you could have made if you were machining versus doing something like, trying to figure out how to, do a live broadcast on Facebook, for instance. You find the who knows how to do that already, pay them a pittance. They do it faster, better than you are, and you leveraged your time while you're still out in the shop doing what you're doing. And that's the kind of leverage and power that ClickFunnels brings to you in not just podcasting, but in CNC. I didn't think I made that point clear before.
Yes. What is your time worth to you, right? What's your time worth? And if your time is worth $60 and up per hour, and you're spending, that much time doing something that someone could do for $5 or $10 an hour, the math is there to prove to you what you should do with your time. So again, podcastbyfriday.com/OFA challenge is where you'll find the link. Is where it'll be in the comment section, and we look forward to seeing you on this in the group.
All right, folks. Thanks for tuning into this live broadcast with us. It was very cool to try this out on StreamYard and see how that platform performed, and we hope to see you in next month's challenge. I'm Bill Griggs,
and I'm Kingsley Grant.
Thank you for tuning into another episode of Podcast by Friday.
Podcast by Friday. Take bold action to create your minimal viable podcast today. Check out new episodes at podcastbyfriday.com or on iTunes or Spreaker.